Good afternoon. We're back with another card review. This time, the last AP of this cycle, Shadow and Flame. It's a fun quest, and I like this AP a little bit for the cards. Let's take a look. The hero is Elrond. 13 threat, 3/2/3, 4 health. You may spend resources from Elrond's resource pool to pay for any sphere allies. After a character is healed by another card effect, heal 1 damage on it. Alright, so stats first. He's almost good at questing and almost good at defending. A little bit worse than Dane at defending due to the lower hit pool. High threat. But the stats alone aren't enough, so let's take a look at his ability. So it's a utility ability. A little bit worse than Narvi's Belt, which can be used to pay for any kind of card. So let's value that at maybe 1 resource. So if it said you may generate 1 resource at the start of the game, and half a card, give or take, 1 resource and an extra card is what I would value that at. You start the game with 1 resource and an extra card as compensation for not quite being good at questing and not quite being good at defense. And after a character is healed by another card effect, you get an extra healing. You're not going to need that often. So it's really the extra resource, the extra card, and the stats. And the high threat. He's almost good. Good in some decks where you need a lore hero to play lore cards. And you need a defender or an almost defender or an almost quester. He's worthy of inclusion in the pool of heroes that you will play in good decks. I'll say that about him. He's not the best at anything, but he's worthy of serious consideration anytime you need a lore hero. Don't think you're building a lore deck specifically or a deck specifically around him as your best at X type of hero. But he's worthy of consideration in many good decks. Not as good as Glorfindel, but he's good. We are not idle. Exhaust X dwarf heroes to add X resources to a hero's resource pool and draw a card. So it draws 1 card. Well, first of all, the cost. It's 0, but exhausting a hero is a huge cost. I value that. That alone is worth a card. There's a card called Cram that just readies you up once and then discards. So each exhaustion of a hero is worth a card. So draw 1 card, discard 3 cards, add 3 resources. Would you play that card? That's a -2 in the card advantage for 3 resources. No, that's not worth it. I don't like it. I've seen a lot of decks that include it, and I've not understood why. And I don't understand now. Maybe somebody can clue me in. But I don't think it's good. I wouldn't play it. I value exhausting a hero too highly. Now consider this. Aragorn's text says pay 1 resource to ready him up after he's committed to a quest, and you'll almost always pay that resource when it's available. And consider it a good value too, so we know exhausting a hero is worth more than 1 resource at least. So, you could also read this as pay 3 resources to gain 3 resources and draw 1 card, which is really just draw 1 card for discarding 1 card. This card, it's not a good card. I see no way around that. It's not good. Hardy Leadership. Attached to a leadership hero, each dwarf character gets +1 hit point. Well, it's unique. Unique is a downside. +1 hit point, is that worth it? For the uniqueness and the 2 cost and the card. If it said +1 shields, I value preventing damage more than I value hit points. I'd say 1 damage of prevention is worth 2 of hit points. So, each dwarf character gets half a point of shields. For 2 cost, I don't think it's good. It's too pricey for too little value. Unless you were in a situation where characters were taking like multiple group effects, like from treacheries, then this might have a use. But it's probably niche and expensive. Hands upon the bow. 1 cost, exhaust a character you control with ranged to immediately declare it as an attacker and resolve its attack against an enemy in the staging area. It gets +1 attack during this attack. So you do have to exhaust the character. Interesting. Well, typically the maximum damage you can get from a ranged attack is 3. With more common being 2, so you go up to 4. That's enough to kill an enemy so a quick strike, but you don't have to engage first. Could help you deal with some of these snipers. Probably be worth it for that. I like this deck when you're gonna be I like this card when you're gonna be facing any character that doesn't easily come out of the staging area. Otherwise, I don't think it's very useful, but for troublesome enemies, it's good. It's good for troublesome enemies that you would have otherwise needed to use Gandalf on, and you can now use Gandalf on something else. Yeah. That's good when you have troublesome enemies in the staging area. Worth including in that case. I probably won't include it in decks because I don't really like niche cards that are only good in certain instances. Even if they're really good in that instance, I have to really be struggling with a quest before I'll play a card like that. I'm more of a 1 deck to rule them all type of person, and this isn't a 1 deck to rule them all type of card. But it's good against troublesome staging area enemies. I'm not going to try to pronounce that title. Maybe I will. Elbereth Gilthoniel. 4 cost, Secrecy 4. After a non-unique enemy attacks you, put that enemy on the bottom of the encounter deck. If your threat is lower than the enemy's engagement cost, set your threat equal to the engagement cost of that enemy. Oh, interesting. So it doesn't deal with bosses, but trolls it deals with very effectively. At a threat cost. Well, at 4 cost, I don't think it's good. See, 4 cost, destroy an enemy. Would that be good? And possibly increase threat. Against a troll? Yeah, it's good, because a troll is often going to kill one of your 3 or 4 cost guys in the process of you killing it. So against a troll, I think it's a good card even at 4 cost. Depending on what your threat is. If your threat is a lot lower than the enemy, then no. But if your threat is a lot lower than the enemy, you would just keep this card in your hand and probably ignore the enemy and leave it in the staging area. So I think this is good against trolls, non-unique trolls. For a high cost, though, it's borderline. It's borderline. But if it saves one of your allies who costs 2 or 3 or 4 getting destroyed, that's worth, right? Could even save you a loss if it's an enemy you can't deal with. So it's niche. It's not good against small enemies. It's good against trolls, though. I think. If you got the spirit resources. Yeah, pretty niche. Pretty niche, but in that circumstance, good. Possibly even loss preventing. Miru Vor. Attached to a hero, discard to choose 2. Ready hero. Add 1 resource to hero. Attached hero gets +1. So it could be used as a cram, which is a 0 cost ready a hero. That's a card that's coming in the first Hobbit box. It could also be, so it's equivalent to that, just with the spirit card. I think this is a break-even card. I don't think it hurts you. I don't think it significantly helps you. It just kind of exists. I don't think you ever really want to put it on the top of your deck. Yeah, this just sort of is there. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It's not great. It's not terrible. I think there are better cards to play when you want action advantage, better cards when you want resources, better cards when you want questing. And I don't know why you would want to put it on the top of your deck. But I wouldn't think it was terrible or you were crazy if you stuck it in your deck. Master of the Forge, 2 cost 001, exhaust to search the top 5 cards of your deck for any 1 attachment. Love that card. Love, love, love. Typically with a CCG, as more cards come out, you gain more options for reducing the variance, the amount of times you get unlucky, and this does that. I'd put it in every lore deck where I'm playing attachments. It's good. It's very good. It's worth buying this AP for on its own if you play lore at all. And it makes other decks much more efficient. It enables you to play fewer unique attachments because you'll be able to draw them. It's good. It's really good. Peace and Thought. 1 cost, refresh action, exhaust 2 heroes to draw 5 cards. Exhausting 2 heroes is a huge cost. Drawing 5 cards is a huge gain. Whoa. 1 cost. So you could draw this in your opening hand, play it turn 1, while just eating the threat gain if you were playing some low threat cost of heroes, or if you're playing this quest where you started 0 threat. Draw 5 cards. Interesting. I think you have to build around it a little bit. Exhausting 2 heroes, there aren't going to be that many times you can do that without a cost. Especially early, so you have to figure this is going to cost you something. Probably either figure that costs you either 2 cards, so you're discarding 3 to draw 2, or it costs you resources. Probably, I would value exhausting a hero at 1, maybe 2 resources. So if you figure this costed 5 to draw 5, that's roughly break even. If you're costing 3 discard to draw 5, that's a gain. It's a draw 2 type of effect if you can set it up. Well, at second glance, it's not as good as it seems. In fact, I don't think it's good at all unless you're set up late game or you're in a multiplayer game where you can afford to exhaust 2 heroes. In solo, I don't think it's good. I think there's better ways to accomplish the same effect in solo functionally when you take the cost into account. It's only good if you can afford to exhaust 2 heroes. And when can you afford to do that? In solo. And in multiplayer, maybe in a 3 or 4 player game. But in solo, no. Risk some light. 3 cost, secrecy 3. Look at the top 3 of the encounter deck. You may select 1 and move it to the bottom. Turn any unselected to the top in any order. That's pretty good. It's expensive at 3 for a non-permanent effect. At 0, it's definitely really good. again, doesn't make Secrecy worth playing. You could play it in Shadow and Flame, this quest where you start at 0 threat. I didn't include it in my Secrecy deck. It could really help you with Shadow and Flame though, because the Balrog's got some nasty equipment that comes out of the deck. And this could stop that from happening. Well, let's see. Let's think. Would you rather play this or a Test of Will? At 0 cost, I think they're functionally equivalent. Well, Risk Some Light is better because it can get rid of a location or an enemy too. So this is much better than a Test of Will at 0 cost. At 3 cost, I'd rather have a Test of Will because that's too expensive. Theoretically, at 2 cost, I think this is just as good as a Test of Will. But 3 is too expensive, so you have to play it in Secrecy, which means limited use because Secrecy is not good. You could play it in Shadow and Flame, though, the quest. Vilya. Attached to Elrond, he gains a spirit resource icon. Why a spirit one? Odd. You can already pay for spirit allies. Why do that? Exhaust Elrond and Vilya to reveal the top card of your deck. You can immediately play or put into play the revealed card for no cost, if able. You can, not you must. Okay. Otherwise, move the revealed card to the bottom of your deck. Does this add to the power of Elrond? Well, exhausting Elrond is a big cost. Again, I'd value that at 1 card. So if it said discard a card to reveal the top card of your deck, the card draw factor wouldn't matter. It would just be the 0 cost for the revealed card, so it depends on what the revealed card is. It could be a card that has no use at the moment. It could be a powerful ally. It's a high variance card. When you exhaust Elrond and you get nothing, that's terrible. When you exhaust Elrond and you get a powerful ally, or high cost ally, or high cost attachment, it's amazing. So maybe you play it with Stargaze. I don't think it's good on its own. It's high variance on its own, so I don't think it's good by itself. So it needs other combo cards as well, which means it's slow, which means it's bad in solo play. It's already a combo card because it combos with Elrond. So it's slow, which means it's weak in solo play. Weak doesn't mean bad or you shouldn't play it. I've tried this card out a bunch. I found it difficult to play. It's a high skill cap card. You really have to know what's in your deck. It can win games. It can save you from a loss. And it can do next to nothing and contribute to a loss. So I think it needs combo cards around it, like Stargazer, to be good. If you're building a deck around it, is it good? I don't know. It could be. There could be a deck out there that's good, that's based around Vilya. Yeah. I'm open to the possibility. Haven't made one myself yet, but there could be, definitely. An Elrond Vilya deck that's good. That'd be interesting. Good enough to beat the really hard quests. High variance. High variance. In the high difficulty quests, you can't afford an exhaustion early game. In solo play. You need every hero doing what he does unless you draw an early unexpected courage. Or Light of the Valinor, which can go on Elrond as well. So it requires multiple combo cards around it, I think. Extra action advantage. Looking at the top card of the deck, of your deck. Something like that to use it well. I'm going to look into this a little bit. I might be interested in building a Vilya deck and see how it does against Shadow and Flame. I've already played Shadow and Flame. One with 2 different kinds of decks, which I'll post the videos on, along with this card review. But I may may be interested in making a Villia Elrond deck for Shadow and Flame and see how it does. Thanks for watching.